Somewhere in your city, right now, an appliance repair tech is looking at a Samsung service request, reading the brand name at the top, and quietly turning the job down. It isn't because the machine is hard to fix, it's because he already knows how the story ends. He knows he won't get the part, or the manual, or the manufacturer on the phone, and he's not about to spend 3 weeks of his life and his reputation chasing a repair the brand made impossible on purpose. There's exactly one number that decides whether the appliance in your kitchen is a $40 afternoon fix or a write it off, buy a new one disaster. It is printed nowhere on the box. You won't find it in the spec sheet, the energy label, or the glossy review. And there's one feature, we will get to it, that adds roughly 40% more failures on top of all of it. Today, we are dragging that number into the light. 5 brands the repair trade quietly avoids, and the single measurable spec that explains all of them. By the end of this, you will walk a showroom the way a repairman does. Here's the trick every brand plays. They get you to argue about the wrong number. The one they want you to see is the first-year service rate, the percentage of units that need a repair in year 1, and the data set is real. Yale Appliance publishes service rates built from over 33,000 actual service calls a year. And by that number, some of these brands look spotless. Bosch dishwashers come in under 4%. LG refrigerators sit around 8%, clean, reassuring, and quietly misleading, because that number has an edge cut off it. It only measures year 1, and it is measured on units a single retailer delivered and installed with its own trucks. With the handling problems stripped out, it tells you almost nothing about the moment that actually wrecks your week, which is year 5, when the part fails and you go looking for anyone to fix it. That's the number they hide. Not whether it will break, but whether it can be fixed. Parts in stock, a manual a technician can actually open, a repair network wider than the manufacturer's own waitlist. Call it the serviceability spec, and here's the stat that proves they are hiding it. A joint investigation by USPIRG, iFixit, and Repair.org, published in 2023, surveyed 50 manufacturers and dozens of working technicians and found that nearly 9 out of 10 appliance makers refuse to share repair manuals even with certified professional repair pros. 9 out of 10. That is not an accident. That is a business model. And the 2 brands the report named as the worst offenders are the same 2 names waiting for you at the top of this list. So that's our axis. Not breakage, but repairability. Let's count down. Number 5. Frigidaire and Electrolux, the orphaned parts problem. We start with the brand that breaks the cheapest promise in the store, which is the word affordable. Frigidaire and its parent Electrolux land on the avoid list. And it's not because of one dramatic defect. It's a slow, boring failure mode that costs you more in the end. Parts go on back order, and some parts simply stop existing. When repair professionals get surveyed about the least reliable refrigerators, this family keeps coming up, and the complaint is always the same. Frequent service issues, weak customer support, and parts that are either on back order or gone for good. Consumer Reports subscriber data tells a similar story. Owner satisfaction scores on Frigidaire and Electrolux trail the category average once you get past the 2nd year. That last part is the killer, no longer available. A model that's 3 or 4 years old can already be an orphan. A working machine with one dead $12 component you cannot buy at any price. Not at Home Depot, not at Lowe's, not through any independent parts distributor. At that point, the repairman isn't avoiding the brand. He's avoiding having to tell you, to your face, that your appliance is unfixable because the manufacturer discontinued a part to sell you a new one. So here's the read. A low sticker price is not a low cost. If the parts pipeline dries up at year 4, you didn't buy a cheap appliance, you rented an expensive one, and no extended warranty covers a part that no longer exists. Number 4. Viking and the high-end pro brands, the specialist lockout. Now flip to the opposite end of the price ladder, the $6,000 Pro range with the heavy knobs, and you would assume that kind of money buys you out of this problem. It does not. It just buys you a different version of it. The trade-off here is not cheap junk because Pro-style ranges are genuinely well built. But two things stack against you. First, the category itself, since professional ranges and the most feature-loaded refrigerators need service more often, simply because there is more to go wrong. Second, and nobody mentions this at the showroom, the pool of technicians trained, certified, and willing to touch these brands is tiny. The parts are specialist only, often slow, and priced like the appliance they came from. So you end up somewhere strange with a reliable machine that, when it finally fails, sits dead for weeks while you wait on the one certified tech in your region and a control board shipping in from another continent. The repairman doesn't avoid these because they're bad. He avoids them because the manufacturer made sure he can't profitably say yes. The read here is simple. Premium buys you build quality, it does not buy you a fast repair. Before you spend luxury money, find out how many independent techs in your area will even take the call. Number 3, Miele and Bosch, the gold standard twist. This is the entry that's going to annoy people, so let's be precise, because precision is the whole point of this channel. Miele and Bosch earn their reputation. On first-year service rates, they sit at or near the top of every honest dataset. Yale Appliance, Consumer Reports, J.D. Power all point in the same direction. Bosch dishwashers under 4% is a real, defensible number, and Miele's build quality is not marketing fluff. If all you care about is whether it breaks early, these are among the safest money you can spend. But here's the twist. Remember that report, the iFixit and USPIRG 2023 investigation, the one where 9 out of 10 makers refused to hand over repair manuals. When it named the worst offenders, LG and Samsung came first, and tied for a distant but real second place were Miele and Bosch. So you get a brand that rarely breaks, but when it does, an independent technician may not be able to get the documentation to fix it, and the genuine parts are priced at the same premium as the badge. The read is this: these are still the right answer for most kitchens. Just go in clear-eyed because you're partly paying for a machine that rarely needs the repair system the maker has deliberately closed. Number 2, LG, great on paper and avoided in practice. Now we hit the real disconnect, the one that exposes how this whole game works. Pull LG's first-year service rate and it looks excellent. Refrigerators around 8% year after year, often beating brands with far better reputations. By the number the brand wants you to see, LG is a reliability winner, and on early life quality, that's largely fair. They fixed the LG linear compressor defect, the one that drove a class action lawsuit and affected hundreds of thousands of units, and the data since reflects it. So here's the puzzle. 6 out of 7 repair professionals asked which fridge brands to avoid, name LG. They're not measuring year one, they're measuring serviceability, and that's where LG falls apart. Technicians describe 3 recurring problems. Training and parts are gated behind certified dealer status, so independent shops get locked out, a textbook parts pairing, and access restriction that the right to repair movement has specifically flagged as anti-consumer. The design of a single model changes mid-production, so the control board or compressor part that fits one unit won't fit the identical one sitting next to it. And the upscale features people actually buy LG for run on components that are expensive and hard to source. That's the whole thesis of this video in one brand. LG can post a beautiful first-year number and still be a brand the repair trade quietly refuses, because the number on the showroom card and the number that ruins your year 5 are measuring 2 completely different things. The read, a great service rate, is not a great serviceability rate. With LG, confirm there's an independent tech near you who'll actually work on it before you buy, not after it dies. And number 1, Samsung, the brand most repair shops have quietly dropped. This is the name at the top of nearly every working technician's blacklist, and it isn't forum noise. It's the same complaint coming from the survey data, the trade, and the manufacturer's own service reality, and it stacks higher than any other brand. Parts sit on back order for months. Parts get priced so high that a single repair, a control board, a compressor, a door liner assembly, can cost nearly as much as replacing the whole machine. The manufacturer's tech support gets described as close to useless, shipping the wrong part revision against a correct model and serial, with manuals that are barely translated and fault codes you can't actually locate. And just like LG, the training is restricted to the certified dealer channel, so independents are shut out by design. The same software lock and parts pairing strategy, the iFixit and USPIRG report ranked Samsung worst in class for. Add it all up and you get the outcome you may have already lived through. You call 6 repair companies for your sleek Samsung fridge and all 6 say no. It's not because they can't turn a screwdriver, it's because the brand has made the repair slow, unprofitable, and reputation-wrecking. So the rational move is to decline your job entirely. Samsung sells beautifully, and the showroom, whether that's their own store, Home Depot, or Lowe's, is its home turf. But looking incredible in the kitchen and being fixable in the kitchen are not the same spec. And on the second one, the repair trade has already voted with its calendar. The read on this one is the clearest on the list. Spectacular design, structurally hostile to repair. Buy it, knowing that when it fails, you may be on your own. So let's pull it together, because there's a pattern running under all 5. Notice who didn't make the list. GE and Whirlpool. And GE is fascinating because its recent first-year service rates actually spiked into the high teens and low 20s. Yale's 2025 data puts GE refrigerators at 19.2%, worse on paper than some of the brands we ranked. Whirlpool sits in a similar range on certain categories, but repair pros don't avoid either of them, and the reason is simple. The parts are stocked, the service is reachable, and an independent tech can actually get the job done. GE and Whirlpool prove the rule by breaking it. Serviceability, not breakage, is the axis that decides whether you get stranded. Consumer Reports reliability data echoes the same finding. Brands that score well on owner-reported repair experiences tend to correlate with parts availability, not just build quality. And there's one last number, the one I'd carve into the inside of every showroom door. When J.D. Power measured problems per 100 units, connected smart appliances came in at 87 problems per 100, against 63 for the non-connected versions. That's roughly 40% more failures, the feature I flagged at the top, which means the Wi-Fi touchscreen you paid extra for is the single component most likely to break. Sitting on a board the maker most likely won't help anyone fix. So here's the spec they hide and how to read it before you spend a cent. First, before you commit to a brand, find out whether independent techs in your area will service it. Because if the only repair path is the manufacturer's own wait list, that's your answer. Second, ask the store the one question they hate. Are parts for this model stocked domestically and for how many years? Then watch them reach for the script. Third, buy the simplest model that does the job, because every screen sensor and Wi-Fi board is one more failure point the data already caught. And fourth, skip the connectivity entirely. 40% more failures for a feature you'll use twice. The brands didn't hide this number because it's complicated. They hid it because it's the only number that would change your mind in the store.